So the title for today, if you noticed, the in is in parentheses, spiritual independence. And it came to me, obviously, because 4th of July celebration, and we often think of independence, we think of freedom as breaking away from something, right? And Independence Day, the U.S. broke away from British rule over the colonies, and with children, it's breaking away from that parental management when young adults come into their own and start making their own decisions. And in mathematics, bear with me, guys. Einstein, come on, math, science, God, religion, it's all in there, right? Independent variables are those that break away from variation. It's called a variable because you, the observer, the ride operator, the cohort of this world, you have control over it through choice and manipulation. But you, as the observer, you independently affect the impact the other variables dependent on your assumptions, your perspective, your energy that you bring to the situation. So even in mathematics, something that we consider hard fact, mathematics can deliver an answer based on the I and the influence of the observer. And the observer sitting next to that observer, and so on. So I have an engineering degree, and I recall many engineering problems in my college studies where I had to list my assumptions and define all of the independent variables, and then plug in values based on my interpretation of those independent variables and calculate a solution which defined a series of dependent variables. I mean, and if I could make a logical case of my assumptions that built that foundation, my solution couldn't be challenged. And it might be different than the student next to me who made different assumptions and had their case for the same problem, right? The two different resolutions. So, how do we take all that science, all that math, and bring it back to something more delightful? So, as Bob mentioned, Jesse Winchester's song that I asked him to start with is called "That's What Makes You Strong." And the song started, if you love somebody, then that means you need somebody. And if you need somebody, that's what makes you weak. So, deductive reasoning, if you love somebody, that's what makes you weak. But Jesse didn't stop there. He continued. If you know you're weak and you know you need someone, that's what makes you strong. So how do we go from love as a weakness to love as a strength? For me, it's in the knowing. If you know you're weak and you know you need someone, that's what makes you strong. Those are the lyrics. It's that knowing that comes when you surrender. You let go of the definitions and the boxes and everything that we use to try and neatly define love. And when you neatly define something, you can also confine something. Not very independent, not very free. It's that knowing that it's undeniably unquestionable when we find our own strength in the unknown and in the irony of all these humanly interactions that we have with each other. At that point, we can just be held by love. We can hold ourselves, we can hold another, and we can allow another to hold us. So to me, that's what makes us strong. The second verse of Jesse's song says, to trust somebody is to be disappointed. It's never what you wanted. It happens every time. Isn't that a kicker? Not just sometimes, it happens every time. And the verse begins by identifying the one thing that probably scares all of us the most when it comes to any type of relationship: trust. Jesse ultimately prepares us for disappointment anytime we allow ourselves to trust another. When trust is based on what we want from someone, it is rare that anyone could ever live up to any personal idealisms or expectations that we have of them. So we stop trusting them for reasons that are truly unrealistic because they only exist in the little voice in our head. And that verse continues on and concludes, if you're the trusting kind, this don't even cross your mind. It's a funny thing. That's what makes you strong. To have faith. To have faith in the human being sitting to the right of you, to the left of you, in front of you, behind you. You can look around. We're all one here. that eventual prospect that person will potentially disappoint us, still should not prevent us from standing in the strength of love. Because allowing that potential disappointment to prevent us and deter us from standing in love with that person, that's the weakness of love. Fair? We all share the same fears, but we also share the same love. And I believe we forget that sometimes. So I want to share an excerpt from Oriah Mountain Dreamer's book, The Invitation. Sitting on the subway one afternoon, I hear someone weeping and wailing softly, "Help me. Won't someone please help me?" It takes me a moment to locate the source of the sound. A tall woman leaning against one of the doors, tears streaming down her face. Everyone else on the train sits staring straight ahead. I approach the woman, lay my hand gently on her arm, and ask if there is anything I can do. Later, when I have gotten her the assistance she needs, fellow passengers crowd around me on the platform asking questions, anxious to know if she will be okay. I'm surprised. It isn't that they didn't care. They were afraid of getting involved in something they could not control, something unpredictable that might call attention to or embarrass them. What if the woman had started screaming at me or lashed out at me in some way when I had offered help? What if she had needed instant medical attention I could not provide, or someone to take her home and stay with her? On this particular day, I was not afraid. I was willing to do what I could, knowing what my limits were. My desire to respond to the world around me, to simply do what I am able to do with what is right in front of me, was, for a moment, larger than my fear of making a mistake, of being a fool. Often, this is not the case. When we allow ourselves to share our fears, when we are able to love with a confident knowing, that is what makes us strong. Not only strength in our own self, but strength with another and strength within a group, within a community, within the world. This is where the whole word independence becomes a shared collective that is a new paradigm of in plus dependence. The question, what are we in dependence of? The answer, each other. What are we in dependence of? Each other. So with that, I want to invite you to find a comfortable position for yourself to sink in, to, if you are comfortable, to close your eyes, to find that space within you that is pure love, that is the love of strength. Stand in that strength of love. And with each inhale, allow that to expand throughout your body. And with each exhale, I invite you to push away any energy, any memories that might be coming to you where you were not standing in that strength of love, but you might have been showing a slight weakness. Just allow yourself to use the tool of movement, of the breath, to expand your awareness within yourself, and the exhale to move the awarenesses out of you so that you can connect to that strength, root to it. Allow those roots to move down through your legs, through your feet, down into the earth, and connect to the love, to that strength that Earth herself shares with us every single day. And as you get into a space of being in love, swimming, enveloped in love, I invite you to look at those moments, whatever moments come to you, where you had an opportunity to share a weakness, to share a vulnerability, to put aside the fears, and maybe you didn't. Maybe you did. Recognize those moments. Think about the impact as you show up as the strength of love. Recognize the impact when you show up in a little bit of weakness of love. And I invite you to love all of the memories, love all of those experiences, love all of those moments. Allow yourself to show up as you were able to in each and every moment. And as we are okay, as we accept those flaws within ourselves and those celebrations within ourselves, we invite ourselves to close that gap more and more every time we show up with another person, with another being, with another tree, with another four-legged, with another winged one. Every interaction that we have, allow the words of this song to sink in.
Bring your heart to me. Bring your heart to me. Lay it out on your sleeve. Bring your heart to me. 'Cause everything good and everything delicious comes from a heart totally committed. Bring your heart. Bring your love to me. Bring your love to me. Let it be all you speak. Bring your love to me. And every breath and every smile and every word like a newborn child. Bring your love to me. Bring, 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 bring. Bring your fears to me. Bring your fears to me. We'll lay them down at our feet. Bring your fears to me. We'll stare them down, just you and I, and let them burn up to the sky. Bring your fears to me. Bring yourself to me. Bring yourself to me. Bring your all, your everything. Bring yourself to me. And every scar, everywhere you bleed, let me know you authentically. Bring yourself to me. Bring, 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 bring. Bring your heart to me. Bring your heart to me. Bring your all, your everything. Bring your heart to me. Bring your love. Bring your fears. Bring yourself. Bring everything. Bring, 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 bring. 'Cause everything good and everything delicious comes from a heart totally committed. Bring yourself to me.
So as we stay in that beautiful contemplative space, I invite you to make a commitment to yourself. Make a commitment to your heart. Make a commitment to your fears. Make a commitment to you, to yourself, to the love that you carry within your heart, that you have free will to share or not to share. What commitment do you want to make to yourself? From that beautiful space of strength within love itself. Invite you through those roots that are still planted down into the earth. to send that commitment to the earth and allow the earth to receive and to reciprocate that commitment right back to you. Feel the presence of that commitment. Feel the gift of receiving that commitment, so that you can be reminded when you share it. You can be reminded of that same feeling. And from a place of gratitude, I invite you to receive the next inhale and plant that seed, that commitment, right in your heart. And with the exhale, I invite you to pull those roots up from the earth. Come back into your energy bubble, your chair in this room. What are we in dependence of? Gosh darn it, we need each other, don't we? In Carrie Murphy's book called Create Change Now, she has a reflection titled Nurture Your Relationships with Empathy. And it starts from a quote from Khalil Gibran. It says, tenderness and kindness are not signs of weakness and despair. Tenderness and kindness are not signs of weakness and despair, but manifestations of strength and resolution. Carrie continues, in the process of nurturing your own personal growth, it's important to also acknowledge and support the unique expression of your loved ones. Your ability to empathize with your partners, your children, friends, and colleagues will enhance every aspect of your relationship with them. It will also remind you of the potential for the mutual understanding and acceptance that we all need and that we all desire. Doesn't it make for much more trustworthy relationships when we learn to share in our relationship through loving understanding? We may still be independent in our own beliefs, yet in dependence of truly learning about another as superficially or as intimately as we allow ourselves to trust, with no regard to reciprocal attention. That's where our spirituality begins to blossom, through relationship. Spiritual independence, as one word, leads to spiritual independence, 2 words. That is that root. That is what makes us strong. Back to Jesse. He shares, that's what makes you strong. That's what gives you power. That's what makes the meek come sit beside the king. That's what lets us smile in our final hour. That's what moves our souls. That's what makes us sing. So as we are all on our own personal quest of spiritual independence and spiritual independence, what are the questions? Do you feel strong? Do you feel love strong? Do you feel powerful in right relationship with everyone in your life? Would you feel comfortable sitting next to a king? Will you be able to smile as you approach your final exhale? Does your soul feel alive and inspired by yourself and by others? What makes you sing? And you can choose to answer those questions as they are unique and independent to yourself. That's where fierce spiritual independence comes from, when we can answer those questions and we know the answers right away, no doubt in our mind. And that answer, without doubt, can change between today and next week. But in this moment, we know who we are. We know how to answer those questions. Where it gets interesting is when you challenge yourself to step more fully into your spiritual independence and consider your spiritual independence and revisit those questions while you honor every relationship, every elder, every teacher, guide, author, musician, poet, president, pet, friend, every lover who has influenced your spiritual growth. Could you even possibly identify all of those independent fibers, all the variables that have woven together so intricately throughout your entire life that you would be sitting in this very chair, in this very room, in this very moment, right now? So I want to close with a writing that I did. I titled it Finding Freedom. And I was inspired when I read a poem from 1935 by Langston Hughes. And the title of it is Let America Be America Again. And there's a lot packed in that poem. And for me, finding freedom was the question that I took from reading that poem, that inspired me to ask that question of myself. To find freedom, we must seek refuge, but not to a country or a religion or a muse. To find our dream, we must seek guidance, but not from a constitution or a book or the law. To find freedom, we must find comfort in our own beliefs and stand for ourselves. To find freedom, we must navigate through the depth of our subconscious and listen. America does not offer freedom. America offers a place, a location, an environment for us to anchor and create the dream that we are. Not the dream outside of us, not the dream of goals or wishes or visions, the dream that we are. I don't have a dream, I am a dream. That reminds me to get clear, to heal, to research agendas, to find alternative sources of information, and create a foundation for me to create from. To form my belief systems based on my acceptance of all sides, my allowance of the seemingly unbelievable and unfathomable to trickle into my field. Then I get to choose. I get to choose what is right and sovereign for me. Then I get to choose to allow others to be righteous and sovereign for themselves. That is freedom. That is when I decide to take my next step. That is when I trust myself to create. No, not create, but to live my dream. America does not grant me freedom. I create freedom. I am the dream. When I allow those words to ring as my truth, I know that I cannot point my finger toward anyone else, anything else, or anywhere else. My freedom is my own. I am the dream. I am my dream. All of our ripples start from the center and move outward. What are we in dependence of? Each other. Where do we find our freedom? Each other. Darn it.
Sometimes I cry for a lonely world that's living in a great divide. Sometimes these tears make me wanna wrap myself up and disappear. But I won't be away too long, 'cause my sadness turns to gladness when I sing this song. If your hand was in mine, wouldn't it make you my sister, make you my friend, make you my brother? If your hand was in mine, wouldn't it make everything better? Isn't it amazing how every hand fits right in the other? Sometimes I fear when the jackal's outside are the only voices I hear. The call of the love in my heart, it's stronger, and the feeling I wanna reach out won't hold back any longer. If the world needed just one more lover, couldn't it be me? Couldn't it be you? If the world needed just one more lover, couldn't it be me? Couldn't it be you? If your hand was in mine, would it make you my sister, make you my friend, or make you my brother? If your hand was in mine, wouldn't it make everything better? Isn't it amazing how every hand fits right in the other? If your hand was in mine, you'd feel me inside, deep inside, deep inside. And it would bring love, and it would bring touch, and it would bring sight to a world gone blind. If your hand was in mine, you couldn't judge and run from me. Point your finger and be done with me. Yank my chain, pull the rug from under me. Hate me, punch me, or hold a gun to me. Hurt me, desert me, resent me, forget me, laugh at me, attack me with apathy. You could only feel me, be real with me, dissolve the fear with me, rise on up to a higher energy. You can't be above me, below me. When you sit down beside me, hold me and know me. Take my hand, my sister, my brother, my friend, my lover. There are no others here. There are no others here. If the world needed just one more love, couldn't it be me? Couldn't it be you? If the world needed just one more love, couldn't it be me? Couldn't it be you? Go ahead and grab someone's hand. Let's do this thing. If your hand was in mine, wouldn't it make you my sister, make you my friend, or make you my brother? If your hand was in mine, wouldn't it make everything better? Isn't it amazing how every hand fits right in the other? If your hand was in mine, you feel me inside, deep inside, deep inside. Well, it would bring love, and it would bring trust, and it would bring sight to a world gone blind. If the world needed just one more love, couldn't it be me? Couldn't it be you? Thank y'all so much.
You bless us with your presence. So thank you so much. Well, let us move into our time of offering. If I can refocus. I'm still holding hands with everybody on Zoom in the sanctuary. You bless us. Thank you. Thank you. So it doesn't get better than that. Thank you. So let us say our offering blessing together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, that this is so.